Hey everyone! Today we're going to do more than just talk about anger management tips. We are going to build a full-on workout routine for your emotional health. Let's call it emotional fitness, a really practical, sustainable system you can actually use to build emotional resilience and intelligence day in and day out. So, let's kick things off with a problem I'm sure you felt. You learn some new technique, maybe you read a book or watch a video, and it works for a week, maybe two, but then, life happens, stress piles up, and before you know it, you're right back where you started. So why does this happen? Why is it so hard to make these new skills actually stick? Well, here's the absolute truth of it. There is no magic pill. Getting a handle on your emotions, just like getting physically fit, isn't something you do once. It's a practice, plain and simple. It's all about showing up consistently, even and especially on the days you really don't feel like it. So here's our game plan for building that practice. First, we'll cover the core principle of why systems are so much better than just willpower. Then we'll build out your daily routine, add in a weekly check-in, dig into how to master your deeper patterns, and finally, get you ready to stay strong when you're really under pressure. Okay, let's dive into the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about today, the practice principle. The big idea here is to stop relying on sheer brute force willpower and instead build a smart, reliable system for your emotional health. And this quote from James Clear just nails it. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. It's so true, right? On your good days, sure, you're motivated, you've got willpower for days. But what about the bad days? When you're tired, you're stressed out. That's where a system saves you. It's what carries you through when you just don't have the energy to try. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. This is where we build the absolute bedrock of your emotional fitness. And the best part? It's just a few small habits that take, all told, maybe 10 minutes a day. That's it. And the secret to making this stuff stick, without needing superhuman willpower, is a brilliant little technique from behavioral science called habit stacking. It's super simple. You just find something you already do every single day without fail, like making coffee, and you literally piggyback your new tiny habit right onto it. It makes the new thing feel almost automatic. And check out how easy this is. Let's say you make coffee every morning. That's your trigger. Your new habit? It's tiny, just 3 deep breaths. That's it. It's so small, it's almost impossible to say no. And then, right after, you give yourself an instant reward, even just a little mental yes. That helps your brain lock in that new good habit. All right, so here's the full 10-minute daily practice. It's split into 2 5-minute chunks. In the morning, you stack those 3 deep breaths onto your coffee. Then, just quickly name how you're feeling. I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling a little anxious. Then set one simple intention for the day. Then in the evening, you do what's called a mental clearing. Just jot down 3 things that stressed you out and then close the book. Literally close it. And last, log your highest anger level for the day, 1 to 10. This simple tracking is huge. Okay, so if the daily stuff is all about awareness, the weekly check-in is all about analysis and action. This is your dedicated half hour to look at what's been going on, spot the real problems, and actually make some changes. And this is where that little anger log you've been keeping really starts to pay off. Because when you look back at the week, you're not dealing with vague feelings anymore. You have actual data. You can see the specific triggers, what you feel in your body, and the exact thoughts that are pouring gasoline on the fire. This is the stuff you need to work with. So your 30 minutes for the week breaks down into 3 simple parts. 10 minutes to review your log. What are the patterns? 10 minutes to regulate. This is about your body. Getting some physical exercise at least 3 times a week is one of the best things you can do to lower your stress baseline. And finally, 10 minutes to resolve. Pick one thing that keeps popping up in your log and start working on a solution. And when it comes to resolving those issues, you don't just sit and worry about them. You get proactive with a structured plan. This simple 5-step process takes you from feeling like a victim of your circumstances to feeling like you're actually in the driver's seat. You define the problem, you brainstorm, you pick a strategy, you try it, and you see what happens. It's a skill that just gets better with practice. So, after you've been tracking things for a few weeks, it's time to zoom out. The monthly review is where you stop looking at individual trees and start seeing the whole forest. It's about connecting the dots and seeing the real story, the deeper currents that are driving your emotions. And for that, we're going to use a really powerful tool, a metaphor that you'll hear a lot in therapy. It's called the anger iceberg. The idea is pretty simple. The anger that you show the world, that's just the tiny tip of the iceberg. What's really going on is all the stuff hidden below the surface. So the real work, the deep work, is asking yourself, okay, what's underneath this anger? Am I actually feeling hurt or maybe scared, disrespected? Naming those more vulnerable primary emotions, that's the key to everything. And when you're looking at these patterns, how you talk about them, especially with other people, changes everything. It's so important to separate your evaluation from a simple observation. Saying, you're always late, that's a blame-filled evaluation. It just starts a fight. But saying, you arrived 20 minutes after we agreed, well, that's a fact. It's an observation. And it opens the door for an actual conversation. Okay, so we've got our daily practice, our weekly check-in, our monthly review. The system is built. But what happens in the real world, in the heat of the moment? What happens when all hell breaks loose and your system gets put to the ultimate test? Well, there's actually a name for what happens in your brain at that moment. It's called an amygdala hijack. Basically, your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, goes into overdrive. It completely takes over and shuts down the rational thinking part of your brain. It's that moment where you snap and you say or do something you almost instantly regret. So when you feel that hijack starting, what's the very first thing you do? It's going to sound way too simple, but the single most powerful move you can make is to do nothing. Don't speak, don't act, just pause. Your only job is to create a tiny sliver of space between that trigger and your reaction. And you won't believe how little time you need. We're talking about 6 seconds, just 6. That's roughly how long it takes for that initial surge of fight or flight chemicals to start to burn off. A 6-second pause can be just enough time for your thinking brain to get back online and help you make a better choice. So in that 6-second pause, what can you actually do? Well, here's your emergency toolkit. First, name it to tame it. Just say to yourself, I am feeling angry. Second, ground yourself. Focus on a physical sensation, like your feet on the floor. Third, box breathe. In for 4, hold for 4. Out for 4, hold for 4. And if you're really escalating, change the setting. Just get up and leave the room. So let's bring it all home. From the tiny daily habits to the emergency toolkit, the magic isn't in any one of these things. The magic is in the system. It's the consistency. These small, simple efforts, done over and over, are what compound over time into real, lasting emotional fitness. And that leaves us with one final question for you. Please, don't try to do all of this tomorrow. Just think about that principle of tiny habits. What is one tiny, absurdly easy step you can take? Something so small you literally can't say no. What's one thing you can anchor to a routine you already have starting tomorrow? Because that, right there, is where this whole journey begins.